one group of people you mentioned that's kind of been involved in more recent organizing as cocoleros. Could you say a little about who they are and how one of their members, Evo Morales, what contributed to him, winning the presidency in 2005?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, coca leaf is used as a medicine in Bolivia. It's widely consumed in tea and chewed to cure altitude sickness and by miners in horrible working conditions. And it's many coca farmers produce the leaf for this legal, highly controlled use. Unions developed over the years, particularly in the 1980s, into the 1990s, and today, to control the production of coca, to operate as a kind of parallel government in the Chapare, which is in the center of Bolivia, a major coca growing area, to redistribute land, solve local disputes, and also resist increased military presence and harsh repression of farmers that were growing this crop to survive, largely funded by the U.S. government. Well, basically entirely funded by the billions of dollars have been poured into this war on drugs. And the resistance to this violent repression of farmers and violent eradication of crops helped construct not just the unions, but eventually it resulted in the formation of a political party, the Movement Towards Socialism, the MAS, M-A-S, and that the main leader of that, one of the major leaders of that union and political party from the beginning was Evo Morales, a young coca farmer who had migrated to the Chapare as a young kid with his family and grown coca to survive and became involved in the unions there and eventually rose through the ranks and became a congressman and eventually ran for president. And this political party has always been viewed by cocaleros as a political instrument, un instrumento político. That's how it's always referred to, as a way to change policies in the government while also fighting in the streets, which was a constant tactic among cocaleros, blockading roads. A major highway goes through the Chapare from Cochabamba to Santa Cruz, two major cities in Bolivia. So blockading roads to demand change in policies was popular. But then with the MAS, they were able to fight this policy for changes in the government. And Evo is a part of that trajectory, very much coming out of this grassroots labor movement.
We just finished a 6-month study of looking at the Grand Rapids Press coverage of Latin America, and there were only a handful of stories about Bolivia, and they all focused on Evo and tended to have kind of a negative, representation of who he was and what he was doing in the country. Could you say from your own experience of being in Bolivia what Bolivians, on the ground in the streets, what their sort of sense is about the possibilities, either negative or positive, with the first indigenous person ever elected to head the country?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've met Evo a bunch of times, and one of the first times I talked with him was when he was still a cocalero leader and a congressman in the Chapare. And at that time, the love for Evo was very palpable in the air. He was very much a respected leader, and his political power and popularity is very much based on that grassroots support. People were lined up in the hall to meet him on an early morning that day, and that was just another day in his early life of organizing, and that kind of popular support is very important right now. And he did win in December of 2005 one of the largest mandates of any Bolivian president. Gonzalo Sanchez de Lozada, I think, won with 23% of the vote, and then went to Congress to decide who won in 2002. And with Evo, he won around 54% of the vote, which is huge for Bolivia, with so many different feuding political parties. Here in the U.S., we have two major political parties. In Bolivia, there's many, 8 or many more than that. So Evo now still has that support, and I think recent polls show him with over 60% support in Bolivia, and that's huge in a country so divided politically. And many of the people that I spoke with that are in social movements or landless movements see vast improvement in the communication with their new president. Before, it was very hard to meet with political leaders of the right, and now the new communication is very positive. And as far as the cocalero movement, people are generally very contented with the steps that he's made toward the legalization of coca and expanding markets. And while many people see the steps that have been taken so far as steps in the right direction, not the end of what everyone would like to see. But as far as the gas nationalization, it hasn't been complete, but people are generally happy with that as a step in the right direction. But the division between the right and the left in Bolivia is very, very strong. So in Santa Cruz, in the eastern part of the country, where many of the country's political elite and right-wing politicians are based, the opposition is very strong, and these groups have a lot of experience, a lot of money, a lot of media contacts with the newspapers and TV, and they're fighting with everything they've got to make sure that Evo is demonized in the eyes of the media, and their arguments say how he's just following the footsteps of Chavez, he's not doing anything for the Bolivians, and on the other hand, on the western part of the country, his support is much larger, and so it's been a rocky start, and there are many challenges for the administration. I mean, he has to, he set out to recover the looting, or kind of reverse the looting of 500 years of marginalization and exploitation, and he has a lot to do. His administration has a lot to do, but I think in the first year and a half, the positive changes have been significant, and people are generally optimistic.